The Match Ball.
Well, hello there and welcome to the Match Ball for the Newcastle United away game, brought to you by Levi's Solicitors, who will do you 10% off your legal fees at levisolicitors.co.uk/the square ball. Hello, I'm Dan Moylan and I'm joined by, well, from Newcastle, there he is, on Zoom. It's Michael Normanton. Hello.
Hello.
And across the room from me, he could be bothered to show up today. Here's Moscow White, Daniel Chapman.
It's not quite as exotic as St James's. How near are you to the stadium? Can you hear Brucey out? Brucey out?
I'm very near. My mate's mum and dad have very kindly loaned me a room in their flat, so I can do this rather than having to do it out on the street with all the rough Geordies.
Are they not
bullying me?
Are they not trying to watch telly while you're whittering away in the spare room?
Well, probably, yeah.
You just missed it, Moscow, but he was just supping a pint then, which goes to show the level of commitment he's engaged in for this show. Right, well, 1-1 there. Just a quick reminder, by the way, if you're listening to the audio version of this, have a look on YouTube for the video version. If you're a TSB Plus subscriber, you can go to the watch page on our website and you will find the link for you there if you want to watch us live stream it at full time, which is what we are doing as we speak. It's just after 10:30. What do you make of that then? What was it like inside the stadium, first of all, then, Michael?
Incredibly hot. Jesus Christ, getting up those stairs. I swear it was about 40 degrees at the top of those stairs. The cumulative heat of like 3,000 Leeds fans under there. It was very hot. It was quite good. It was a decent atmosphere. Second half, frustration was the main thing. You could tell there was a lot of sorry to take his name in vain, Moscow, but there was a lot of fucking L. Roberts and that sort of thing going on. I don't know how it came across on TV. It felt like a wasted opportunity. That is how I'd view it.
I'd say so. For me, do you agree, Moscow, that we should have had that game out of sight in the first half, and it could and probably should have been a little bit like when we stuck 5 past them at Ellen Road before?
Well, you wrote down what time I said to you, we've won this match.
Yes, it was at the 18th minute. Moscow said, we've won this match. I don't know about you, he said, and I don't know if I want to jinx it, but we've won this match. That was 18 minutes in.
So nobody needs to blame Tyler Roberts for anything anymore. It's not Junior Firpo's fault. It wasn't Rafinha to blame for missing. It's not the fact that we don't have any fit players anymore. It's all me. Sorry. But 18 minutes, I thought we were going to be fine. We were 1-0 up. They hadn't made a chance. And I would still, despite the angst that is filtering through social media quite strongly, I don't think we can have played that badly if we're angry about not being 4-0 up as we should have been by half-time.
I think perhaps the fault with it was that it felt a little bit like a basketball match at times, but that is how we play, isn't it? Really, we concede ground and chances, but we did attack a lot during that game as well. And I do feel like, particularly after that before they equalised, we should have had that one. I've written down a litany of chances. Did you get a sense from the stadium as well? Did you see the James penalty? I know you were right up in the gods, like properly in the gods, weren't you? But
did you get your binoculars on his ankle?
That was sort of it was right at the far end, but when he was sort of jinking through the left hand side of the box, I thought it looked like a foul. Was it?
I think so. The replays would show it as one. Yeah, he cuts inside and then takes it onto his right foot, just nicks the ball away before the man gets there, who then stands on his foot. So,
it's a proper.
Did Jurgen Klopp say no to it or something?
He brings his studs down on his ankle, and I would think that would be a foul in the penalty area.
So why wasn't it? Was there any clues to why it wasn't?
It wasn't even. It didn't even go to VAR as far as I could tell. Or did it? We never heard anything. That's the thing. It's kind of
they look at everything, don't they? They look at everything.
A curtain of silence around Stockley Park this season.
Yeah, nothing. Mike Dean was enjoyable. I thought him blocking a Newcastle chance was good.
On the edge of the box where he shoulder barged someone.
Yeah. The double pivot he was playing. He was playing a double pivot with Phillips,
and then gave absolutely no quarter about when they were all. Why didn't you get out? He didn't even try to get out of the way, which was great. And then all the Newcastle players were complaining about it as well. It's your problem.
Well, you could sort of lip read him, and he was saying, "Well, I said sorry. What more do you want? Blood," kind of thing. That was the general vibe. But there is a lot of negativity on social media. I don't feel that negative about that tonight. I feel like, yes, we should have won. There is a creeping dread, I think, starting to infiltrate the fan base because we still haven't won this season. And I think we can't go too long now without winning because Ellen Road will become a fucking hateful place if we do not win soon. I mean, if we get trounced against West Ham, it's going to get very difficult. I think it'll turn quickly. But the thing is as well, I think because it highlighted all the shortcomings that we know about tonight, it's just a sense of frustration that certain things haven't been addressed. I mean, like Tyler Roberts, as we say, Tyler Roberts, he's the lightning rod for this, and there's no two ways about it. His distribution was woeful, but then he also came on and did some fairly decent work, didn't he? But
to deal with Tyler Roberts very quickly, he was on the ball, and therefore his ability on the ball and what he does with it then comes into question. You wonder about Rodrigo. Had a brilliant first half. I thought it was brilliant, but then hardly did anything in the second half. So you always notice a player who's making mistakes because they're trying to make things happen. If you're not noticing a player not doing anything, then the question is, where have they gone? And really, Tyler Roberts, we know exactly what Tyler Roberts is, what he does. It wouldn't have mattered if we were 4-0 up by half-time, as we should have been, or even 2-0 up by, and now, again, when you talk about sort of favours, and Rafinha scored the first goal, and then Junior Firpo took all the heat for smashing that ball off the bar. But if Rafinha had just shot first time when Firpo had made the chance for him and put it on an absolute plate for him to make it 2-1, then the whole game is completely different and we're back in control. But why Rafinha, who has all the quality that Tyler Roberts does not have, couldn't just put that into the net? That is a bigger question for me. Or not a bigger question, because I guess Rafinha's quality is not really in doubt. It's a bigger moment for me than anything that then happened in the second half. The second half just became turgid, and we ran out of ideas and we ran out of momentum, and a lot of the spark that I thought the first half an hour in particular was really characterised. I love that Matches Click came back into the team, and the first thing he did within 2 minutes is he's doing a back heel volley in Newcastle's penalty area. And at that point, like, Leeds are back, we're looking wonderful. And there was a lot of that through the first half, and then it all just kind of dissipated, which happens when you start taking Rafinha off with a poorly hip, and you start taking Daniel James off on his exciting debut, you start bringing people off the bench, and then Ayling gets injured. It all kind of fell away brick by brick in the second half.
And I think that's the source of the frustration now, talking about, the things we already know. The squad is looking threadbare for me. Already, which we know about. So, maybe we would have defended in a slightly more composed manner. Oh, maybe not, because it was Cooper, wasn't it, against St. Maximin? But
that was terrifying every time that occurred.
But if we'd had Llorente maybe alongside him rather than Ayling, and we'd have had Ayling at right back or whatever, maybe we would just have retained a little bit more shape. And I know you can't legislate for three of your main defenders being out, but you can legislate for not having enough options elsewhere on the pitch. And I think that's really somewhere that what's at the root of this is that the creeping sense of frustration is they've not done enough in the transfer market, and that will always appear to be the case until we win and the form turns around, unfortunately.
I guess, but I would wonder which midfielder would we have signed in summer that solves 3 centre-backs being injured?
No, I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is it's a cumulative thing. I've spoken in recent weeks about like marginal differences adding up to gulfs in class, and it was seen tonight. Like if Bamford, when he goes through and gets that chance, he should score that chance. But it was a poor finish.
Well, that's nothing to do with injuries. That's nothing to do with squad depth. That's you're an England striker missing a chance.
But it is squad depth, because you can't then take Bamford off and put Rodrigo on, because Rodrigo's already on, because you're playing him in midfield, because we don't have another midfielder. And I just think it's just an accumulation of these minor, shortcomings that then add up to a lack of options. That mean you can't have your game changers change the game because you don't have them. They're all basically in there or injured. I don't know.
On St. Maximin, he's so good compared to everyone else on their team. Like they are an absolute one-man team. If he doesn't have the ball, they look so shit. And then he gets the ball, and in the stadium, I don't know if you picked up on TV.
Yeah, you can hear it.
And in the stadium, everyone goes, "Oh, something's going to happen," and it pretty much always does. Actually, everyone else looks completely clueless in that side, and I think it summed up how bad they were at points. I think it was just after they'd scored, and straight from kickoff, we just basically put Rafinha straight through on the right wing. You think that there is no organisation here. Like they are a bad side, and we've got to beat them here.
Yeah,
like, I can't stress how shit they were, to be honest. Other than St. Maximin, who was really good. We were carving him open so regularly. It was just really frustrating to not actually win it.
And that's where I think it comes down to not taking the chances in the first half, and it is that is what has happened. Probably is the most significant thing, because we know that a patched up defence when we've got 3 centre halves out, 2 injured, 1 unfairly suspended, is only gonna
and now Luke Ayling as well.
And now Luke Ayling as well. It's only going to last as long as it can last. That's going to, I'm not surprised.
These perpetual injuries are catching up with us.
And, Stuart Dallas at right back and all that kind of stuff. It's not going to, it can only work as long as it can work. But what that really needed then is where we do have, because in the attack, you're saying about depth and like we can't take Bamford off. None of that's relevant to the first half because we have England international Bamford, Spain international Rodrigo, Brazil international in waiting, Rafinha, and apologies to Welsh viewers, but I suppose Dan James plays for Wales, but so does Tyler Roberts. But there's 4. We've paid a lot of money for all of those players, and they're all very good players, and they all had a chance each. Rafinha scored the 1. Rodrigo helped him in the most hilarious Rodrigo way ever, in which when
he did nothing, Moscow. He did nothing to that ball. 5
games from now, when he's not got another goal or an assist, people will be saying he's done nothing this season, but that was a good contribution from him. Even in the chance that then Rafinha at the end of the first half should have taken, and then Firpo blasted over the bar. In between those is Dan James. If his touch had been a little bit better for 25 million, then he had the chance to score. There were 3 in there, and Firpo took the heat because he was the one who tried to put it into Sunderland, which was, probably the funniest of them all. So at least he did make us laugh. But there's enough going on with quality first-team players in the first half being set up for chance after chance. And it's the failure to take one of those chances. We actually scored the most difficult one, Rafinha scoring from the touchline. It's kind of ridiculous in its own way, while he had 1 contact lens in, by the sounds of it, which is impressive, because I now want to see what Rafinha's glasses look like. But anyway, that's a side issue.
What did you make of Firpo tonight? 'Cause in the ground, he was getting a little bit of stick, and I actually thought he was better than he has been. He was at least more. He was a lot more involved. Obviously, he did smack one over the bar when he should have just scored. But I actually was relatively pleased with him tonight.
Yeah, I think it was another mixed performance. What we were saying in the last couple of weeks, where you can tell he's not quite up to speed yet. He doesn't quite understand the game plan. I'm prepared to give him time, of course, because we have to, because we've seen the difference that time makes to every player who comes in under Bielsa. He certainly needs it. He needs to learn the system, because it's a very complex and precise system. That's what I thought. I thought it sometimes gets pulled out of shape a little bit, like we saw against Liverpool. But he also contributed some good stuff as well. I thought he was okay.
He nearly won it at the end, didn't he? Him and Somerville creating that chance, get to the byline, pull it back for Bamford. And I need to see a replay of how close it actually got to him, but it felt like a good opportunity. There's no middle with Firpo at the moment. He's doing some really good stuff, like setting up the chance, and that's probably the perfect illustration, is that break to set up Rafinha before half-time was done brilliantly, and then when he gets the chance to finish it off himself, balloons it over the bar. I think defensively, I was less worried about him. I think I maybe have missed what everybody was annoyed about, because I was terrified of Luke Ayling and Stuart Dallas on the other side when whenever Newcastle were attacking down there, Ayling would be, as the centre-back, was trying to point to Stuart Dallas of like, there's a runner behind him, and Stuart Dallas was just completely oblivious to what Ayling was telling me. I was like, that was what was frightening me. So I think I may have ignored whatever was happening with Firpo on the other side. But then the yellow card that he got is possibly one of the stupidest bits of football I've ever seen, where he gets an easy pass from a free kick in our half, tries running forward, gets tackled, chases after them, brings them down and gives away a free kick, and is booked for it. Those things, yeah, so he's very much in the middle, where I think the good stuff is improving. I'm seeing more good stuff from him game by game, but there's still this element of just things like that will happen, and yeah, you have to throw your hands up and say what on earth is going on with this crazy man.
And the other side of that is that the left-hand side tonight was entirely new. Firpo and James haven't played together before, to all intents and purposes. So that's what I mean, just about the kind of the slightly threadbare, cobbled together nature of the squad. And what I was referring to when I meant that, it wasn't like the missed chances in the first half. Of course they're going to cost you. Just meant the second half, when you're looking to change it, you want to have options that are going to affect the game, and I don't think they did. You bring Roberts on, Roberts does Roberts things, and he didn't contribute terribly, but then his final ball was abysmal. So that's just what he does. That's the level that he's at. And Bamford didn't finish the golden chance that he had. So it's just, like I say, it's just these marginal things. But yeah, I do agree. We need to get it together pretty soon. But in terms of being there tonight, what was it like the atmosphere in the ground? You got a sense that when we went one in front, that really toxic atmosphere was starting to seep out, and there was an aborted pitch invasion that happened about 18th or 19th minute, something like that. Just after Moscow declared that we'd won the game.
I completely missed that. It was
in the far corner. You wouldn't have been able to see. It was probably a different town to where you were.
It is incredibly high up. In some ways, it's a really good view of the pitch from there. I think in some ways it makes it more frustrating because you can really see where spaces are and you can see where people should be passing. But obviously, it's a hell of a lot more difficult when you're on the pitch and you can't see the enormous spaces everywhere. It wasn't very good atmosphere from the home fans. Like, maybe it's just because the away end was relatively noisy, but there was a little group of fans over to my right in the high up in the Newcastle end, and they piped up after they'd scored, and it was a little bit surprising to know there were people there. I saw at some point some people were just unfurling a banner, and a Newcastle defender twatted the ball straight at the banner, which was quite nice as well. That was good. That ruined that protest. I mean, we had some Bates Out songs. That was fairly fun in the away end. Ronaldo Vieira, he's only a teenager, all that sort of stuff. I don't know why that was being sung.
It's always a sense that it's always an indicator though that the game's kind of gone flat, isn't it? That the quality's fallen out of the game.
There was a good Ronaldo song. Shall I repeat it on here?
I don't think so. No.
Levi's solicitors have been in touch. They'd rather you did not sing.
I mean, never mind what they say.
Okay.
Just don't. How did it? No, don't tell us how it started.
Leeds United are on a bender, and Cristiano is something.
He's not
that rhymes with it.
Getting mentioned here on the podcast.
He's not, and he's not a money lender.
What was the atmosphere like in the away end, Michael? Apart from that sense
we've just heard.
Yeah.
Don't encourage him down that road.
No, it was good. It was good. It was quite lively.
Any songs rhyming with vile that you want to share with us?
Not on this occasion, no. Just trying to think. No, there's nothing really at Steve Bruce. A bit of some pro Mike Ashley stuff. It was fairly predictable, I guess. No, Steve Bruce got away with it more or less. I think in not highlighting how bad he is, we're doing everyone a service, aren't we? So the longer he can stay in that job, the better.
They're not happy with him, are they? What about little Jimmy Somerville? Because we saw him. There was a lot of clamour about that.
I thought he did fine. Did all right, didn't he? Nothing groundbreaking. Didn't win the game, did he? Shit bastard. Sell him. I think we should sell him. Sell him and or play. I'm going to say we can't get in and play the kids, can we? Because he's one of them. Play the other kids, the younger kids. That's what I'll say. He's too old.
Ignore that gibbering idiot. What did you make of him in Moscow when he came on?
I think it was a while for him to get involved, and I think there was. This is not making a comparison, but I felt like we relied on Tyler Roberts more, and I guess we were doing that because he's 22, so he's relatively ancient. But then that move at the end when Firpo and him built the move down the side, and that started, if I'm remembering correctly, with Firpo right back on the edge of our penalty area, and the kind of 1-2'd. I think Dallas was involved.
It's quite intricate, wasn't it? Though, yeah.
It was good. It was like exactly what we want, and it was one of those. I suppose it's a good memory of good Leeds under Bielsa where they are capable of building something 4 minutes into stoppage time.
I remember those days.
That's as good as something that they'd build in the 15th minute. Flashes of, quality. It was interesting that they mentioned Graham Smith said during a break, he tweeted that Rafinha had gone on the pitch and was starting to give him some coaching. I felt like he maybe needed a bit of that because he came on and then there was no sign of him for a good 5 minutes, and then there was that injury break, and I think Rafinha had a word, and then he started getting more of the ball. There was one moment of skill that made me think, yeah, he's getting there, he's warming up to this now. So I wouldn't worry about putting him in again. I would worry about the long-term health implications of our other players if it means that Somerville is. But then Somerville is we have put our faith in him to an extent by letting Poveda go and letting Costa go. There's no doubt that our four wingers now for the season are Jackie and Somerville and Rafinha and Dan James, and mix and match those four because they're the four we have.
Hmm.
Poveda.
Yeah, I thought he was perfectly good, I have to say. For someone who's never played before, I thought he came on and did.
He has played.
And did fairly. He has played the game before.
Yeah, he's seen a ball. He's kicked one.
He's done the football. He's done the footballs before, Michael.
You know what I mean.
I know what you mean. And yeah, it was like, it just took him a while to get going. And there's no doubt as well, I think things like that inevitably take the wind out of your sails and inevitably never live up to what you want from them as well. There's not often that Alan Smith comes on and scores with his first touch. There's always that feeling of a really raw, exciting kid comes on and then their first touch isn't amazing. You're like, okay.
You remember, sorry to mention his name, but like, if you remember like early Harry Kewell, there was no real sign that he was that good, was there, in his early... He played like George Graham played him at left back because he thought everyone had to play in defence, but he was decent, wasn't he? And you saw him and you're like, okay, he looks quite tidy, looks like he knows what he's doing, but there was no sign of him being brilliant until a little bit further down the line, so let's get on Tyler Roberts' back. He's an old man.
You can tell you've been on the booze. Or what time did you start drinking? Just out of curiosity.
I'm not too bad, to be fair. It's been quite slow because I'm staying down by the river, so I've kind of been gradually working my way to the ground via pubs. So it's about 3, 4 o'clock or something.
No, you've done all right then.
But it's a long way. It's a long way, and it's a right trek up those bloody stairs. So I feel like I sweated it all out on me getting up there.
Where are you going out after this?
Don't know. Town.
Big market.
Big market, yeah. Gonna see what's out there. I've not punched any horses yet either, so I need to do that. It's on my bucket list for the evening.
I think maybe like the biggest indicator of what that game ended up like is the XG from it, and we don't want to read too much stock in, place too much stock in that, but it looked like 1.34 to Newcastle, 1.55 to us off shots of 17 for them and 21 for us. That's a lot of shots and not a lot of return. It felt it should have been about 10-8 or something like that, given that basketball match style first half.
We definitely had more than that, surely. It felt like we had a lot of decent chances in that game.
Yeah, they were decent. They weren't nailed on. Apart from, I'll have to stop going on about the Rafinha one, but the ones that were really good were Rodrigo and Phillips. Both had shots just like 6 inches wide that were good efforts, and you can't even. That's one of the things. It's difficult to find the point to criticise about the first half, which is maybe why the concentration's on the defending in the second. It's not like Rodrigo or Phillips with those shots made a mess of him. Like the good efforts, really close. They did the right things, just 6 inches wide, and then. So I don't know how you solve that. You just say, well, next time,
just score.
I'm because Michael isn't here, and I can.
With the striking coach.
I can take over the striking coach. Yeah, you see, you went 6 inches wide of the post, 6 inches inside the post. As long as the goalkeeper's not too big.
There was quite a lot of weak kicking today as well. I noticed there were a few that were just a bit meek at the goalkeeper. Rodrigo had one, Click had one.
That was the Bamford one in the second half, wasn't it, where he scuffed it?
Yeah, he slipped, didn't he? It looked like his feet both kind of went from under him at the same time.
Did he slip or did he just scuff it? It didn't look. It wasn't.
Don't slip either. That's my other advice.
Yeah, because it's easier. You can kick the ball harder if both feet are really well. If your standing foot is really secure and keeps you standing upright, that helps you get more power in your kicking foot.
He's intruding on your he's intruding on your act here, Michael.
My manual is in the office. He's just been reading it probably after the game.
The fact that we've ended up here making lame jokes about your coaching manual probably tells you a lot about how this game finished. Let's say that first bit was quite blistering, but it did feel like we needed to get that 1-1 in the first half. Let's do something positive. Let's talk about Rodrigo, because there's been a lot said about him. We spoke on the Phil Hay show. We've had an article on our website about him. Where does he go? Phil wrote about him as well on The Athletic. I thought today he was really good. He did fade, admittedly, yeah. And it was when the subs started happening, I was, he's staying on, is he? Oh, he's staying on.
Well, Rafinha's hips has gone full foreshore, hasn't it? So there was no choice. You had to take him off.
When you see Tyler Roberts warming up, you assume Rodrigo's coming off, don't you? In fairness, because that is the sub. But yeah, he was much better, and he was. It's hard to say because. I'm going to be unfair on him here, but because Newcastle is shit, it was a much easier game for him to get involved in. I feel like because we just had the beating of them pretty much all over the pitch, other than Saint-Maximin and putting the ball in the net. it was an easier game for him to play in, which is probably a harsh way of saying he was better.
Well,
He was a lot more involved, and it was good. And I thought Click being in midfield also did help him, in fairness, because I thought Click was good, and he was picking the ball up in Mateus Click areas, which I think has obviously been missing when it's been Rodrigo and Dallas and Phillips in midfield. So
I think the difference I noticed was because Newcastle didn't press us high up, like you saw it against Liverpool, how they made us concede possession so much and make bad choices. But yet they let us play out from the back a lot of the time and through midfield, and we started playing through the lines again, and that's how we managed to find loads of space for Rodrigo. He was in acres, wasn't he? In fact, their defending against us reminded me of our defending against Liverpool the other day. Picking up those pockets of space, and he had the room to manoeuvre.
And although I think there is something in the utter garbageness of Newcastle at the back, giving Rodrigo so much space, I think there are more teams that will face who are of that kind of level than there are Liverpool. Like Rodrigo's problem, certainly against Liverpool, is, as all of Leeds' players had the same problem, is you're up against some of the best players in Europe in that team, and particularly the three midfielders, the two defensive ones, and then the actual defenders that they've got. You know, if Virgil van Dijk is on the pitch, you are going to have a hard time attacking and creating. It's easier when it's, you know, whoever plays for Newcastle, whoever those people were that we were watching.
The other lads.
But there's more of those, and there was kind of the things that Rodrigo had done against Burnley when there were good moments. They were there as well. So there's kind of the signs of when we're playing against standard in the division, I think we'll get more like the Rodrigo that we want. Especially he doesn't need rank awful to be good. I think he maybe just needs to play his way back into form. That was kind of the deep analysis that Rob Conlon put together for our article on the blog about Rodrigo, was just that maybe he's just playing a bit shit at the moment and he needs to play better.
Is that it?
Yeah. And that was kind of there tonight. He played a lot better. So it kind of a lot of the I know the second half didn't really reflect it, but certainly at the end of the first half, I was feeling like, and I said it to you while watching the game, this looks more like Leeds United. All the angst from the game so far, where it felt like the entire team needed tearing up and throwing in the bin. I was like, actually, we're fine, because look, we're battering Newcastle and Rodrigo's playing well, Click's back in, we're making chances and everything is good and beautiful. It all went wrong in the second half, and I don't know whether that's down to could be down to a few things. I have a question for Michael, if I'm permitted to ask him. It's a little bit awkward because he is the screen with Michael's face on it, like Leslie Grantham leering at me, is to my left.
There's other sides,
but but he's this way
he's
to
there.
me. So I will address Michael, but I'm looking away from him as I do
In
this.
fact, I think you need to point at his chair. I think actually that's how it works. Yeah.
Michael, I'm addressing the witness. From inside the stadium and from a big tactical view, how was Calvin Phillips?
I thought he was quite good. Yes, he was good.
Interesting point. Because I
thanks for that Syrian analysis.
In what respect do you mean? Where was he playing?
Well, you know the edge of our penalty area?
Yeah.
In front of the two centre-backs, where you'd expect a defensive midfielder to be. That's where Newcastle, towards the end of the first half, kept getting loads of chances. And it's difficult to tell from a television screen. I was like, where is Phillips? Why, if we know... Because Sir Maximan kept sort of beating... I know the thing against Cooper was terrifying, but it was Dallas and Ayling that he was skinning and then running into the middle and getting to the edge of the D, where you'd think, right, Phillips, take the ball off him, stop this stupidity. And he didn't pop up. And there was, at one point as well, he tried bringing the ball out in our penalty area and allowed himself to be tackled in our penalty area, which is most stupid. Don't think he should do that. No. And so it gave me that impression of, like, I wasn't sure if Phillips was entirely on it as he could have been. And
I thought partly he was playing further forward because they were not really attacking. I feel like he moved forward a lot more than he normally would. Whereas when we've been getting battered a bit against Liverpool, and even in the games against Everton, Man United, when they were attacking, it feels like he was more disciplined in where he was sitting. Whereas it was a bit more gung ho in this game. As Dan said, I think at the start, it felt a bit more like Leeds of last season, where everyone was piling forward. It was a bit basketball-y, and I guess Calvin Phillips was a part of that. And whether or not that was intentional, and we've just said you might as well pile forward because they've got nothing.
Leave Liam with Liam's got St Maximin, it's no problem. Although to be fair, there was one really good challenge in the second half.
Yeah.
It was.
And
I remember it because it's the only time.
And for all the terror, there was the two other things that you could rely on. Is one, even when St Maximin, there was that one sprint around the back of Liam Cooper down the left side, and I remember saying, you can't just hold your hands up at the end. You can't really criticise Liam Cooper in that situation. He's just not as fast as him.
No.
And it was painful to watch, but you just had to go, yeah, you tried. That's fine. At least you didn't ruin yourself in the process. But then you could rely on, it was Joe Linton had that really terrible effort off the back of that. And you think, well,
he's a terrible player.
The rest of them are awful. So
well, do you know, it's funny that because my Geordie mate who was there as well texted me at half time saying that Joe Linton was their best player. Said he must have bought some new boots or something.
He's rubbish. He's terrible.
But apart from...
honestly, I couldn't praise a single Newcastle player probably other than I guess the defence did all right.
They gave
we had loads of chances.
You'll be interested. You'll be interested in this. Sky.
Oh well.
Jamie Carragher gave St Maximin man of the match. Do you agree?
Yeah, probably.
One good dribble.
Nah, he was a real problem the whole game. We could have just not bothered if he hadn't been playing for them.
It's a little bit
no one else tried to do anything with the ball for him. It was basically just give it to him and hope something happens.
I guess it's a bit like the Rodrigo looking good against Newcastle thing. Is it St Maximin looking good against Liam Cooper? Do we have to kind of adjust for quality?
It reminded me a little bit more of. Do you remember when the season when McCormack was our only decent player? It was a bit more like that, and it was like people just kept giving it to him. So like, please, just do something. You do it because none of us are really up to it.
Well, that's it. Newcastle at the moment feel a lot like Cellino's Leeds, and so that's probably very apt. Everyone going home booing after a perfectly, credible 1-1 draw, and all the stories about the training ground being half derelict and people fighting in like beating up coaches and stuff. It's all very funny. And
it'll be funnier when we've got a win on the board.
They might still be able to sign Ross McCormack. Have you heard about Derby, by the way, Michael?
I heard on the way out of the ground someone 21-point deduction.
They've appointed administrators, and it could be. It's been reported that it's 9 points for the financial, should we say, improprieties and failure to submit accounts and compliance, and then another 12 for admin. So they are potentially in a lot.
With potentially holding, I'm holding on to this detail, but apparently holding 3 over for next season as well, just giving a 3-point deduction next season, just like have that as well, and a 2-year transfer embargo.
So I mean,
how do you get a 2-year transfer? How do you field a team if you can't buy anyone for 2 years?
I know they'll go rent free and all that. There's been a couple of them already because I retweeted it just the news during the game that they because obviously you're not allowed to tweet anything about anything else if your team's playing. But I retweeted it saying oops.
At least we've got a team,
and we got the usual rent free nonsense. So I just blocked him immediately. I love it. Just don't respond. Just blocked.
That is, in fairness, hilarious. So thank you for that.
Not rent free, just funny.
Yeah.
Just funny. Let's wrap it up then. And before we do, are you worried? Either of you, Michael, you're the most pessimistic, but you've got a neck full of booze on now, so.
I feel less worried than I have actually. I felt like there were signs of the old Leeds there tonight. I thought, which I don't feel like we've really seen. Even though Everton, we were all right for bits of it. The way we started that game and set about them made me think, okay, I recognise this, and this is what happened last season, and that was fine. So I'm very frustrated with the result, and we should definitely have won. But overall, I am happier, apart from the fact we have no defenders.
Thank you, Michael. Thank you.
Thank you. I would agree with.
No.
I would agree.
We did contemplate. You've got him in. They can't see it on screen at the minute, but you've got an empty chair here in the studio. We contemplated doing what they do. Who was the guest? Or the person that was supposed to be on? Was a politician who were going to put? They just put a tub of lard there instead of him. Was it Roy Hattersley or someone like that?
How dare you?
We were going to put that in your chair just for shits and giggles, but we didn't have one to hand, and we didn't think you were worth the effort of buying one either. So, no, it's been interesting not having you here, and but it's good to get
better. That's the word you meant. Better.
Good to get a bird's eye view, literally, of the game. So, thanks for hanging around and doing your job that you get paid for. So, we appreciate
best, Anna.
We appreciate you, Michael. Thanks. And Moscow, are you worried?
No, I think Michael, in a rare outbreak of sense, probably reflected how I feel. I saw it. I can't be annoyed with the first half that we should have won 4-1.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I want from Leeds. Is I want Leeds to be good enough to be 4 goals up by half time. And I suspect the second half sober reflection will bring about 2 main causes. One, Newcastle changed it. They went 4 at the back instead of 3 and really went more defensive to get away with a point. And we started to suffer from having a back 4 of nobody.
Mm-hmm.
I think that started to become more tiring because it began for me. I didn't think Ayling and Dallas started well. We did well to keep St. Maximum as quiet as we did. He only had that 1 goal and a couple of other chances, and they were basically all the same. And I think, that kind of I think there's maybe a tiring element of having players out of position where there's more thought involved. You're having to think, having to do different things. So a lot of the feedback from people at the game with interesting and developed views rather than what we're getting here is that the players looked absolutely knackered by the end of it because there was a lot of effort put into that measly point this evening. So playing us way back into it, I don't know what we do without any defenders ever, but hey, everybody wants to see Charlie Creswell, so we might have to.
We're going to have to.
There's probably an element where I think some optimism, it might not help the Premier League season so much, but Fulham on Tuesday, let's hope that we do roll some of those dice, get Shackleton in the team, get Creswell, give him a match, Somerville can start, Sam Greenwood, give him a game, just because if we are getting close to needing them by necessity, then we may as well use Fulham as like a dartboard for young kids who
a bit of beta testing.
I support giving darts to children.
Mm-hmm. Good luck.
I was wondering where you were going with that. Yeah.
Anyway, right. Well, we will wrap it up there then. Cheers for watching. Don't forget to check us out on YouTube. You can get the audio version as well on all your usual podcast channels. And if you are a TSB Plus subscriber as well, have a look for the feedback form on the website. You'll get the thing emailed out to you, the password. Moscow will send that to you.
It's always on the website as well. If you go on the menu, there's an item for it. I think it's the top left menu.
I've taken you off screen, Moscow, so you are pointing, but they can't see it. So I'm very sorry about that. Cheers for listening and watching this one. We'll catch you in a bit.
The Match Ball.